Hello and welcome to the Rogues Den Show. Today we are going to be reviewing just a great classic horror movie, I, Frankenstein, starring Aaron Eckhart, Bill Nighy.
Yup.
And Miranda, Otto.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the first-ish episode of the Rogues Den Show, this time in office with a new format. Today, Nathaniel picked a movie that we had to watch.
Boy, did he.
He certainly picked a movie that exists. Nathaniel, why don't you tell us about your favorite movie of all time?
And please tell us why you selected it.
Well, I did select my favorite movie of all time.
I can tell.
I selected a movie which most people were not aware of.
What movie is that?
I, Frankenstein.
Oh, goody.
I selected it because I was allowed to pick my favorite movie of all time.
This is not your fault. This is Kez's fault. Kez was like, hey, Nathaniel, pick a movie. And you're like, oh, cool, let's pick one of the best animated movies ever. And he's like, we can't do animated movies. So we're picking this shit instead. I'm not bitter.
I don't like to rubbish other people's movies, but it was real bad.
Oh yeah, it's totally a bad movie.
Does this fall under so bad it's good for you?
No, it's not that kind of bad.
No. Then why the hell are we watching it?
Because it was the first movie which came into mind when I could pick any animated movies, because those tend to be the ones which I actually remember and enjoy.
This is the only live action movie you've seen, is what I'm hearing.
No, the only live action which wasn't well known.
Oh, that's a noble goal. There's a reason this movie wasn't well known. It's because, and it's a shame because Universal really wanted this to be a superhero movie. You've seen that? You've seen that Marvel? Have you seen Marvel? I've seen Marvel. Let's make a Marvel movie. We need to make our own superhero movie.
Yes, this was made by Universal Studios. It was not meant to be part. It was made as part of the whole horror movie cinematic universe.
Bullshit.
Can I explain why I didn't like it?
Sure. You are on the show.
The reason...
What is it about?
Well, let's get a brief synopsis before we go into what it's about.
Okay.
Dan, if you please.
Sure. Frankenstein, that plot happened, and then now a bunch of gargoyles show up, and they're like, hey, be our chosen one or whatever. And he's like, no, I'm angsty and hot. And then Dr. Jekyll is like, work with me so that I can make more Frankensteins. And he's like, no, I'm angsty and hot. But I'm scarred, but now I'm healing, so I'm angsty and hot with no scars. And that's the plot. That's the entire movie. That's what happened.
That was a terrible synopsis of a terrible movie.
Thank you. It's the synopsis it deserves.
So it takes place after the events of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. So we have the creation of the creature, the death of Victor Frankenstein, and then we go into this story, which pretty much takes place immediately after Frankenstein's death. Victor Frankenstein's death.
You say immediately. It takes place in present day.
Well, I mean, the story begins at the time, like when he's dead, and then we skip forward a couple of hundred years to what could be the present day, but could also be some kind of post-apocalyptic timeline.
It's got sci-fi tech, and they definitely wanted this to be a cinematic universe, a shared universe. Because
it had the same sort of vibe
that's what Marvel did.
The Underworld had, in the sense that you got the feeling that you were on Earth, but it wasn't Earth as we kind of know it in real life. It was like this other kind of world, which I think wasn't really well established at all.
No.
We're dealing with massive cathedrals and things like that. Did we establish a geographic location for this story?
Vaguely America / Europe.
Okay.
Yeah.
That didn't feel very clear to me.
That giant cathedral
Yeah,
has been used in several movies.
but that cathedral's in like Melbourne or whatever.
Place.
So is that supposed to be like Notre Dame or what?
I can't remember where, but I know that it's been used in several movies and it is a real place.
Yeah, well,
It's in some kind of city.
thank you. Well, I assume that they filmed that in a real place, but wasn't meant to be there. It's vaguely unclear.
I assume so.
Probably.
Well, I did recognize the Civic Theatre in Melbourne. I was like, I think I sat behind that guy.
Oh, this would just be better if it was just a stage play.
Can you imagine how ridiculous that would be?
Also,
It might just work.
Yes?
it definitely was actually too much sci-fi.
Yeah. As a fundamental level, I don't like that it isn't horror.
Thing, yeah, that's kind of science fiction, but the whole actual using lightning and the devices used, those are real.
They're practical.
Real day versions of those
That's cool.
as of 2005.
Awesome. Jacob, what did you think of this catastrophe?
This monstrous movie.
This monstrous movie, which I wish wasn't alive.
I would have made that at some point.
Oh, it's fine. Listen, I just thought this movie was okay. So the stylistic choice, I thought like the shots used in the movies, the effects, they were all right. They were fine to me. It's just the way like the story unfolded, like the well, what's the word I'm looking for? There's just parts that are like overdone in like monster movies.
Yeah.
That does my
Cliche.
I feel like if they had funneled that budget into making an authentic adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein,
It would've been
it
cool.
would have been kick-ass.
You can do that for $65 million.
Like, you wouldn't even need what they spent to do it.
You
Like,
can spend it on the makeup for the monster.
yeah.
The proper makeup.
And go with practical effects over CGI. Like,
CGI works when it's enhancing, when it's
Yes.
all you rely on and it's not flatly animated,
yeah.
then it just looks fake.
But I do agree with you, Jacob. I think that I didn't have a problem with the special effects. Like, I acknowledge that in those kind of films, there is going to be a degree of unrealisticness to what's happening.
Suspension of disbelief.
And I'm cool with that. It's just it's the excessive use of it that annoys me.
I agree with you, but the excessive use of it just takes out the believability for me. That's why I'm such a big fan of practical effects, because you can't tell right away that it is fake. Now, there is such a thing to me as too much practical effects to where it just becomes ridiculous. So, in my opinion, you gotta find like the sort of a balance.
Yeah, like a mid-ground.
Yeah.
I think with the special...
But acting wasn't the best.
No.
Oh, I disagree. I think
Bill
the
Nye.
supporting cast weren't great, but when you look at some of the heavier hitters that were in it, so your Bill Nighy's, your Miranda Otto's, and your Aaron Eckhart, I think that the problem for Aaron Eckhart is he's literally playing a prop.
Yeah.
Like, he's not playing a character, he's playing an idea.
It's the thing that Val Kilmer said about playing Batman, where he's just meant to stand there and look pretty.
Yeah, which was kind of the theme of that film.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean...
Sorry to interrupt, though. I just wanted to quickly put in that I thought the main stars of the film were pretty good. Like, the acting was pretty damn good. I just thought that, like, the supporting actors kind of shaky.
Who directed this?
It was Kevin Grevioux, I think. No, somebody else.
I don't know who Stuart Beattie is.
Nor do I.
He's normally a writer. He wrote Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, cool. So
What, the first Pirates of the Caribbean?
Most of the Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah.
Wow.
He also wrote
has he directed anything else?
Tomorrow When the War Begins, G.I. Joe.
Oh, shit. You can tell. He wrote Australia. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, he wrote Australia, which is not good at all.
Australia is a great film.
Australia's a great country, not a great film. Don't get those two mixed up.
I enjoyed Australia.
It was as long as our history.
So let's talk about the cast. I'm going to start with Bill Nighy because you can't go past a bit of Bill Nighy.
As soon as he's cast, I'm like bad guy, and then when he spoke, I'm like bad guy.
But
He's so good.
He is a good bad guy.
he's
General.
a classic example of an actor that even if what he's got in front of him isn't like great, he still absolutely slays it.
All the
There,
best
I
bad
said it.
movies.
It's a good pun. He slayed it. I mean, I just felt the film was really, quite pieced together.
Okay, you're not getting another high five. you get one. So
That took me a minute.
That's because they made the monster out of pieces of other people.
when you have to explain the joke, it's always funny. It's so dumb.
Just makes you sound like your dad.
Just practicing.
Congratulations, your jokes are going to get worse.
You don't need to practice anymore.
So back to Bill Nighy.
Yeah, so Bill Nighy wasn't really acting, he was chewing the scenery.
Yeah.
He was just there with a knife and fork, just eating everything. It's weird, that's where most of their budget went.
I love that he's so good that he can pinpoint just a particular word. And he's like, I'm going to put emphasis on this word.
What one was it?
What was it was...
You know who I thought acted the best in that entire film?
Well, who?
Adam Young. He played Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh, okay, he was pretty good.
Didn't he die?
Well, I think
He died at
what frustrates me the most, like now that you bring up
That's funny.
Victor Frankenstein, I'm a big fan of like the literature of those characters.
Oh no.
And I think what bothers me the most about when they do adaptations like this is they completely forsake the literature in order to create a superhero film. And if they
That's what
just
I mean.
stuck to the lore that's written in those books, it's actually really cool. So, like, that would be more interesting to me if they focus more on for example, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein being this classic character. I mean, we often refer to him as Frankenstein's monster, but
he's also the oh no, I know what it's
the modern Prometheus.
Yeah, that's the one.
So he's also in the books, he's less monstrous than Victor Frankenstein.
That's the point. That's the point of
So-
him. He looks like a monster. He's made of dead people, but it's entirely Victor Frankenstein.
And it's about him finding his own humanity. That'd be 10 times more interesting than watching gargoyles explode.
Oh, but like it's gargoyles that explode. Give us all your money.
I do realize the
That's a sky beam in this.
actual
That's what Marvel does.
plot of a movie when it comes to Frankenstein's character arc is him finding his humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. And also, you can modernize.
That was literally what I was meant to do.
Well, it's not. It didn't.
I feel like they maybe missed the mark.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they kept on going on and on about a soul.
Oh,
Yeah,
speaking of going on and on,
The narration.
this is not a story. It is not dialogue. It is exposition.
I was hoping that we'd get a little fade to black and then it would just be like 150 years later.
That's the only thing this movie's missing.
But they didn't. They were like, I'm going to talk you through the time I spent between the 1800s and the modern day. And oh boy, strap yourself in because I'm going to spin some swords on a mountaintop.
It is certainly a movie. So, Universal, this is not the first, and this might be the first, actually, I don't know, but this is not the last time that they tried to make a superhero movie universe out of their monsters. The most famous recent one is the Dark Universe, where they had the cast photo.
Not even Universal.
I'm just looking at the information about it. It was released by, well, the production company was Lakeshore Entertainment and Sky Films, Scotch Features, and distributed by Lionsgate.
Ah, okay, that makes more sense.
Okay, fair enough.
She's so insane.
But they are in the public domain. And then, so Universal, do they own any of those studios? Because Universal kept trying to make this happen. Unless it's just different studios. That
I think it's different. I think it's different studios. Maybe because, like you said, the rights are in the public domain.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not just Universal that's doing it. It's literally.
Also, what you'll find here is this movie came out in 2014, correct?
I'm going to say yes. Someone fact check me.
It did.
Okay. Cool.
So also the same year, Dracula Untold came out.
Oh,
So
okay.
There's
So
a
Dracula
chance that perhaps they were like, oh, we need to, Universal are doing the superhero monster thing. Let's cash in on that. We've got a great script for I, Frankenstein. I think I, Frankenstein is also a graphic novel.
Yes, it is a graphic novel which is only out in digital.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
So obviously they've gone, okay, what's hot right now? Graphic novels.
It's a comic book. We're doing Marvel.
Yeah.
So
It's got sky beams, man.
So we got Dracula Untold that was done by Universal. That was done by Universal. I'm not.
Yeah,
pulling out of my ass.
that one was done by Universal.
Okay, cool. And then we got
Correct. I just looked
Frankenstein and Victor Frankenstein. Those are two. I don't know if Victor Frankenstein was trying to start a universe, but
I don't
all
think
of them.
Victor Frankenstein was. I think Victor Frankenstein was just somebody had a script and they're like, it'd be cool if we got Professor X and Harry Potter to be in this film.
That's essentially how that got made. And the problem is that with all of them, they made them superheroes. But I thought that I was making fun of Universal for doing this 4 times and failing 4 times and then finally making a horror movie like they should have. But if they only did it once, then that's fine.
You should.
No, seriously, Dracula Untold. If it's like we're trying to do monsters in the superhero style, and then they immediately went to Invisible Man, the Mummy, then Invisible Man.
I think the plan, if memory serves, I think the plan was to do Dracula Untold, and that would be like the prequel to set up the universe, and then they would slowly integrate the other monsters. So the Mummy was next, and it was supposed to be Frankenstein after that, and the Invisible Man, because they had Javier Bardem was cast as Frankenstein's monster. They had Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man. They had Tom Cruise as the Mummy. They had, was it Angelina Jolie?
Yes.
As Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein.
Director Stuart Beattie confirms that the film only had a $36 million budget to shoot in 9 weeks. And
9 weeks.
And that the visual effects was only $6 million.
I don't actually know if 9
Wow,
weeks.
they achieved something quite impressive. Given like I wasn't knocking the special effects in
Look,
the first place.
now that I know that it's not Universal, that it makes a lot more sense actually, because Universal would put more money behind this if they wanted to make a universe. But if it's these other studios,
So Lionsgate, they do all the Saw films and things like that. So
yeah,
they're not
they do cheap stuff. They're like Blumhouse with more money.
Jesus. As a professional actor, I think Lionsgate are great.
I have.
In fact, I would love to work with them sometime. Please don't sue me.
Sue you.
Just had to get that disclaimer out there. Sorry.
Coward. So basically, I was making fun of the budget because I thought it was a Universal movie because I did no research.
Right.
I just watched the movie. And so Dracula Untold also looks kind of cheap, but it looks better than this. So you got Dracula Untold and The Mummy, and those are the two that they tried to make superhero movies out of. And then you have The Invisible Man, came out last year, really good horror movie. Oh my God. Let's do that. Let's do horror movies with our horror movie monsters.
My thing is, if 2009's Sherlock Holmes is an example of anything, it is that people would like to see these classic tales retold in a way that is still keeps the identity and the tone of those books, but also moderns it up a bit in terms of it doesn't look like an old film anymore.
The Invisible Man is a great modern retelling of that story.
Right.
Because basically the monster is, hey, what superhero power would you like? I want to be invisible so that I can go into girls' locker rooms. And that's the bad guy.
Yeah, wow.
Because it's that kind of disgusting person, and he made an invisibility cloak. That's the movie, and it's great.
Can we imagine if we got a modern day Phantom of the Opera? He'd just be some lurker that's like sending unsolicited Snapchats to some girl that who sings.
The fact that I don't know whether or not they're in love or he's her dad makes him way creepier.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
Is there anything else?
So Dan, I Frankenstein, what'd you love about it?
What do I love about it? I love Bill Nighy.
Okay, that's it.
I love Bill Nighy chewing the scenery. If you're going to make a bad movie, put Bill Nighy in it as your bad guy. And then 10 out of 10.
Jacob, how about you?
Well, pretty much the same thing. I love Bill Nighy in it. Bill Nighy as a villain, as you guys discussed before, is always absolutely fantastic. He brings a certain mystique around every bad guy that he plays. And I thought that the Frankenstein's monster had cool moments.
Okay,
That's me.
cool.
Nathaniel?
I enjoyed Dr. Frankenstein's moments
Yeah, cool.
because he had no lines and mostly pretended to be dead. So
The best actor didn't talk. I respect that in an actor. What about you? That's fair.
I would say my favorite, obviously, you can't go past Bill Nighy. What I always appreciate with films like this is the level of, like, say what you like about the finished product. There's always a lot of hard work that goes into these films. And for them to put that together on the schedule they had, the budget they had, in terms of resources and all that sort of thing, it's very impressive. Like, if I did that, I would be proud of it. Say what you like about the source material or the content. So I think that's pretty impressive.
Having this not be a Universal movie actually makes it better. No, I'm serious, because like when an independent studio or working with a low budget,
And the fact that it's a graphic novel as well.
and the fact that it's a graphic novel and they got a lot of source material to work with, I actually respect it more.
So it was the graphic novel that subverted the characters and changed them. So now I can't be angry at the film.
I think that's fair.
Kick us off, Dan. How many rogues do you give it?
2.5. I think it's fine.
Little me, I think I'll give it 3 out of 5 rogues. I appreciate the craft that went into this, and as you explained before, Bo, they didn't have very much time to make this with very little budget. So I appreciate the hell out of what they made, despite it, to me, not being very good.
Yeah, fair. Aren't we diplomatic? Nathaniel, what do you give it?
1.5 rogues.
I think that's more accurate.
Cool. I'm going to give Bill Nighy 5 rogues.
Oh, Bill Nighy gets 5 rogues.
Yeah.
And an Oscar. And I'm going to give it 2 out of 5 rogues.
1.5 of my rating was for his performance. Oh, that was fun.
Would you like to send us off, Dan?
All right, that was us for this week for the Rogues End show. Thanks, Nathaniel. Hopefully next week will be better. It certainly will be a better movie.